Namaste, I'm Devina Gupta and this is Work-Life India on the BBC from Delhi. Now, even as India's population is booming, there is an interesting trend which can be seen in the urban areas. According to recent government data, fertility rate among women who are 30 years and older is gradually increasing. Basically, what it means is that many Indian women are now choosing to have children at a later stage in their life than those before them. That is mainly because these women are now more educated, career-oriented and financially independent and don't want to rush into motherhood. But what is also helping is the advancement in modern medicine. So we will be discussing one such technology and its social impact. So stay with us as we talk about the emerging trend of egg freezing in India. So egg freezing is a process where eggs are removed from a woman's ovaries and stored at extremely low temperatures to be used later. The first human birth using this method was reported way back in 1986. But in India, it is still a relatively new concept, and because of social stigma surrounding its use, only a few have spoken about it openly. Among them is our first guest, Diana Hayden, who is a former Miss World, Indian actor, television host, a motivational speaker as well, and one of the few celebrities in India who have talked about egg freezing. Welcome, Diana, and you're joining us from the US fairly early there. So good morning and thank you.
Good morning. Thank you, Davina.
Well, Diana, we would love to talk more about your experience, but let me introduce our other two guests in the studio. We have Dr. Hrishikesh. He's an IVF specialist and he's founder of the Bloom IVF. And Dr. Pai, you were in the team when Diana had chosen to freeze her eggs. So welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
We also have Gitanjali Banerjee. She's founder of Fertility Dost, which is an online community which helps people connect about fertility treatment. So thank you, Gitanjali. How are you?
Thank you so much, Devina. I'm good.
So let's get started, Diana. You have children, 3 of them. One is awake at this point of time, this early, but the other 2 are right now sleeping. So I hope we'll be able to carry on with this interview for some time.
I hope so. I've done the worst thing. I've used the television crutch, so we're good for now.
Well, and Diana, tell us about this journey. Your first child was born when you were at the age of 42. And you actually spoke about the egg freezing process at that time. Could you tell us why did you decide and at what age did you decide to undergo this process?
Well, I think it goes way back when I was 8 years old and I knew I just wanted to be a mom. And I always wanted to be a mom. And I had relationships and I thought it was Mr. Right and Mr. Right, and it didn't happen until I was 32 and I came upon an article about egg freezing. And I'm a voracious reader and I kept researching, and then I met Dr. Hrishikesh, worked together, and answered all my questions. And I was 34 and we froze my eggs at 34, Davina. And what happened is I got married at 40 and we found that I couldn't conceive because I had endometriosis, which reduces your chances of conceiving. So we used my eggs that I froze when I was 34. And the reason I froze and that's when Arya was born from my eggs that we froze from 8 years earlier, because it was 42 by the time I had Arya. And the reason I did freeze my eggs was because, career and everything, but it was just that I didn't want to have my children I didn't want to get married for the wrong reasons, It had to be for love, it had to be with the right person, and not just because my biological clock was ticking and I always wanted to have children. So that's why I froze my eggs, because I wasn't going to make those important decisions just because of the clock.
What kind of questions were going through your mind at that time? I'm sure it wasn't an easy decision because the technology was so new to India at that time.
Absolutely. It wasn't easy. I think more than anything, because I researched so much, it was the people around me, obviously my friends, my family, they hadn't read about it. And they all thought I was crazy, because who freezes their eggs? The only time you do that is, if you've got cancer, you're going through chemo or some medical condition like that. But The biggest questions that went through my head was the safety aspect and the percentages and how long do they last? And, the naive questions, I'd say the ignorant of technology, that technology and information of questions like, will the baby be normal? What happens after egg freezing? Um, it's what you call a test tube baby, especially at that time. So I would tell anybody, if you want to freeze your eggs, there is no such thing as a stupid question, and you can ask it 10 times, and your doctor should answer it and make you comfortable.
So, Diana, take us through the process of it. I mean, the morning of egg extraction. Tell us what you were going through and what was going on in your mind.
I was very calm.
Were
That
you?
is what happens. Honest to God, I was so calm. I was so centered because I was at peace. And I've spoken to a few people on the day when they're literally on the table. And I'm like, just concentrate, put everything away. Whatever issues you have, be it work, be it family, be it your dog, be it, transportation, just you are in that moment, stay there, let your body rest and be absolutely centered and let them take it out. And it was very simple.
But did you
I was
check
really
on your
very
eggs?
calm.
I mean, was there a feeling of staying connected for the 6 years that you didn't use those eggs? Did you check on them often? What's happening? And are they safe?
Yes, I mean, it's very natural for one to check on the eggs, and I did. But the process itself, people talk about the stress of doing it. And I think the main stress is getting your head around it. Once you get your head around it, it's just doing it then.
So, Dr. Pai, are there more Indian women who are willing to wait for their Mr. Right and willing to focus on their career at this point of time? Has it become more popular from the time when Diana did it?
That trend has increased, obviously, now. I do get at least 4-5 people, women in my practice all over the country every month who come for freezing. They are more enhanced women. They are more independent. They think for themselves. They are financially independent. They are mentally independent as well,
And Gitanjali, does it also signal a social reset we are seeing in this male-dominated society?
To begin with, it gives us an opportunity. It gives us a sense of the freedom that there can be. How much have we achieved that or reached that? It's still a point in discussion. But yes, absolutely. It is something which every woman aspires in India. And there are women from tier 2 cities, middle class women, who are coming to know of this egg freezing through celebrities like Diana and others. And now they're starting to ask questions. At least there is a beginning.
But Diana, also critics would argue that this policy sends a wrong message to women, that work is more important than family and women can't have both at the same time. What's your view on this?
It is such a personal choice, Davina, and I would say it always is dependent from person to person and their situation, because at the end of it, what this is just an insurance. You insure your car when you buy a car, and I don't mean to refer to us women as cars, but it's an example. When critics say that one is you're playing with your body, with your clock, and 2 is it's not right, you're not letting, science, you're not letting life take its course. You're taking charge, and as Dr. Rishikesh will explain to you, it does take its course. You're just helping it along. And critics say something, I'll tell them, you know what? Let somebody lead their life and do what's right for them. Is your car insured?
But Dr. Pai, it's not 100% insurance, is it? The success rate also varies with every case.
Yeah, so, it's not that if you freeze your eggs, you'll definitely have a child. So it's very important to counsel all the patients that come to you that between 30 and 35 would be an ideal time when the egg quality is very good and the eggs preserve very well. So if you freeze 10, 12 eggs before the age of 35, you have a good chance of having a child maybe 10 years down the line.
But is it also becoming more commercialized? Is there a way that this entire practice, which is a medical technology for women at a certain age, do you see it commercialized beyond repair?
So I think our medical fraternity and society needs to always achieve a balance between I would say commercialization and science. And I feel that there has to be some limit. So if for example, a girl is less than 30 years of age, you can always do some tests like an anti-Malarian hormone or an ultrasound antral follicle count. And if it is good, you can tell her to wait. You don't have to do the freezing.
Well, Diana, people would also question that wasn't adoption also another way for
Yes.
you and your husband? Because there are so many children who need parents and who need home. And is that also another way in which you sort of overlooking that process?
So here's the funny thing, right? I always wanted to adopt. I said, I will have 2 kids of my own and I will adopt. And I was very clear, I want to have the first 2 children if I could. I wanted to have my first 2 children biologically and then adopt, so that my adopted child, this was if I had a choice, so that my adopted child would know it was my choice. It was because I wanted to adopt that child. But after Aria and we went with the second child and I had twins, I said, I've got my 3 children and I'm not going to have a 4th child. But generally, and I've spoken to people about this, about the option of adopting as well. And a lot of people feel that they just want to have their own biological clock. One woman actually told me, I don't have it within me to take somebody else's child. And we cannot poo-poo what people say. We can't judge, because it's each person to their own. I completely support adopting, because you are right. There's so many children out there. And I wanted to do both. But, you want to make God laugh? Tell him your plans.
Dr. Pai, one of the biggest hurdles that I've come across when I speak to women about this process, and fairly educated, financially independent women, is the cost factor as well. Still in India, it's fairly expensive, $3,000 to $4,000. Is there a way to make this treatment more affordable and accessible to women?
There's a lot of costs involved because the technology is very high. And as I was conversing with you in the past, that the storage, you need to store them in liquid nitrogen containers, and the gas tends to evaporate almost every day. So it has to be topped up, the containers, and you need a lot of your long-term storage, a lot of staffing is necessary, a lot of technology. Having said that, I feel that we doctors, we have what is known as social responsibility, and it is our responsibility to help the people who can't afford, because technology access is very important.
Absolutely. So could the government do a bit more and make the technology cheaper in India, so that the treatment also and the cost of process is also effectively less expensive?
Of course, but I'm sure at some point in time, the government will cover the insurance scheme for the infertile couples as well as for fertility preservation.
Gitanjali, another idea is what many tech companies like Facebook and Apple are doing, is that they're actually giving financial support to their female employees for egg freezing. Could corporate India take a cue from there? Or are we far away from it?
The corporates also have a huge responsibility, because most of the couples who are going through infertility or who are having these challenges of career versus baby question are the people who are working in corporates. So then they have a moral responsibility to do something more substantial, and not, Facebook and Google are the top of the top, but most of our people are working in these, middle level corporates, which need to change their whole attitude. I used to work in corporate, and when I had my miscarriage, I didn't have the strength to go and tell my HR that I need leave because of miscarriage, and I told them that I'm just sick and I can't come to office. And that attitude, even today when I speak to women from my community, they say the same thing. They are even thinking of leaving their jobs to focus on their health if they have endometriosis or advanced case of PCOS or things like that. So this attitude needs to be changed first, because just giving something as a benefit that, okay, this is tick, 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 and this is one part, one extra thing you can do, is not solving the problem holistically.
Absolutely. You have women who are coming to you from different backgrounds. And what are the common myths that they have, and what is your advice to them if they are looking at this process?
Cost is, of course, a big issue. Myth-wise, they think that egg freezing is for celebrities only.
Really?
And yeah. They think that it is something which is a very far-fetched idea. The other few myths are that, what if I go for egg freezing today and I go into an arranged marriage, or even for that matter, a love marriage. The man has yet not there when I'm taking this decision. And after marriage, how do I then explain my new family, the in-laws or the husband, that why did I do egg freezing? And they might end up thinking that there was some problem with me at that stage which I'm hiding. And that is at the root level a very big lack of awareness related question that they ask. And then of course there are myths around that it is an invasive process at the end of the day. And there are heavy injections to it. So a young girl who is about 28 or 30 for that matter, not married, she will be a little hesitant to then go through this treatment without any support. Most of us, I'm not saying for everybody, but yeah.
Dr. Pai, you have a point.
India is a very savvy country, technologically very savvy. You bring in a technology, they pick it up very fast. So I feel that, as far as the reproductive area is concerned, they are very liberal. And, I find so many of them come with their parents and all to freeze their eggs. So it's really heartening to see that happening.
It seems like we're talking about two Indias, two different Indias right now. Yes, Diana, you want to come in?
Geetanjali was saying something about the heaviness of the drugs. And yes, you need a lot of support generally, but you need a lot of support to make the decision. Once the decision is made, it's so much easier. And about husbands, Geetanjali, I think when they come to you, the best, and I'm sure you do this anyway, is to tell them that it's in their own benefit that it's there, and to use examples like my case, for an example. Maybe, yes, I'm a celebrity, but at the end of it, I am a woman, and we're all the same that way.
When you said you found Mr. Right, what kind of conversations happened with who's now your husband about this process that you had undergone, and the fact that you have eggs frozen in a bank in India? Was there a point of hesitation there?
I'm so glad you brought that question up, Davina, because I'll tell you what, it's not just women who want to have kids. Men want to leave behind they want to procreate and leave behind their line as well. And when they know that you are older and that you definitely have got a chance of having children, even if it's not immediately and it's further down the line, I think there's a huge sense of relief for them too. So when I spoke to Colin about it, he was like, that is so cool. He was really impressed about it.
Well, is this also putting the burden of, once again, reproduction on women? Because there could be cases of male infertility. And in India, especially, it's such a big taboo to talk about male fertility, isn't it?
Yes. It's I have actually had this discussion with some people, and it's funny because they would send the woman to get tested, but not the man. And that, I think, Davina, is a whole other show you've got to do, because it's really, honest to God, it is even more important.
Yes, Dr. Pai. Do you see couples accepting or discussing at least the issue of sperm count falling, and the fact that even if the woman has frozen her eggs, it could be a man's fault as well, that they're not able to?
So you said two Indias. All the people that come to me, they always come as couples. The guys are very responsible nowadays. And, first thing we do is test the person, the husband, test his semen, and if there's a problem, treat him first.
Gitanjali, you wanted to comment on this.
Yeah, so yes, Dr. Pai is right. Things are changing. They come as a couple, but still accepting male infertility is very difficult. Devina, what I want to recommend or suggest is that it has to be a whole chain of things to be changed. Initially, the testing, the screening of fertility parameters like PCOS or endometriosis, if they're able to screen that at an early stage, they know how much window they have. And then accordingly, they can take a decision.
All right. Diana, I have some questions that I asked around from people who wanted to undergo this procedure, and they've given me a list of questions which they would like to know from the show as well. So the first one to you is, does it hurt? Is it a painful process?
That's a good question. How painful is it? Because look, no pain, no gain. So I was ready for pain. But surprisingly, no. There are the injections. And if you're shy of injections, then I'd say get over it. They're subcutaneous. They are really light and thin, thinner than a pin, and you don't really feel them. The other thing is when the egg withdrawal happens, you feel a little sensation of delicate, but it's not even near what period pains most women have. So, no.
All right, toughen up. But did the hormonal injections impact your body weight or the way you look in any way at that time?
My weight gain, I did have weight gain, but not more than probably 1 or 2 kilos, and you balance it out. Some people probably have more. And about the mood swings, I didn't have any. I think a lot of it is to do with the mindset. And even when you go through the egg freezing process, the IVF process after that, where you put, I say you marry the sperm and the egg, and then you put it in the uterus. And then it grows, to put it in very simple language. What happens is that process is a lot mentally for people, not just women, for couples. And you have to be ready for that and know that you might succeed, you might not succeed. Don't stress about it. Don't stress about something you can't control.
For you, of course, it worked, and that was the risk worth taking. But Dr. Pai, is it also a time period? And that's another question for how long you should keep the eggs, because in the UK, for example, you can only store these eggs if you're a healthy woman for up to 10 years. Beyond that, they don't keep it unless there is a medical emergency. Is there a time limit?
10 years is ideal. By the time you decide to have a kid, maximum, suppose you do it at 35, by 45 you would definitely take a decision. So I think 10 years is okay, and now a lot of countries are legislating, and obviously if people want to prolong it, I'm sure there's no issue in prolonging the freezing.
Simply put, you can store the eggs more than 10 years if there's no legislation in the country. And for now, does India have any legislation on this?
We are in the process. We have new ART bill, so the rules are being formed and we don't know exactly what, but I'm sure the country is very progressive.
So this is assisted reproductive technology, which is ART.
Can I tell you one thing, Davina? I must say this because you said ART. Funnily, my 3 children, that's Arya, Reese, and Taylor, their 3 first letters are ART, and we didn't realize it till after. Yeah.
Well, that's saying something. We'll let you go back to your children who are awake, I believe, at this point of time. Thank you, Dr. Pai and Gitanjali, for joining us as well.
Thank you.
All right, I hope this conversation has helped debunk some myths around egg freezing. But your doctor knows best, so please consult with them if you want to know more. We love to hear from you, so please tweet your comments with the hashtag WorklifeIndia. You can even email us at delhi_worklifeindia@bbc.co.uk. And please do check out our podcast. Just search for Work Life India. Till we meet next time, it's Namaste from Davina Gupta.